I told you to stop having so many drinks, okay? This is what happens when you have too much to drink. I told you, you gotta lay off the PBR, man. It makes you a douchebag.
The VHS files contain spoilers, adult content, and harsh language. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the VHS Files podcast. Grab your werewolf friends. We're going to the compound to hang out with some werewolves.
Hey! I got my buddy. He's hanging out over here.
Yeah. If you saw the intro, we had to transform back into our regular selves out of the werewolf form.
It took 45 minutes.
It did.
Yeah, so
Enough time to run a marathon, have lunch, and some other things.
Yeah.
And tonight we're bringing you a movie of the week, and tonight we're talking about Joe Dante's The Howling from 1981. And Jason, Mr. Werewolf guy over here, and his werewolf friends decided for Halloween and spooky season, we'd start watching some horror movies, and we're starting with his favorite werewolf movie, The Howling. He can't stop talking about it. It's always, I want to do The Howling. I want to do The Howling. We're doing The Howling, okay? Shut up.
I didn't say it was my favorite.
Is this your favorite? Yeah.
No, I never said it was my favorite. It is. I think if you're into werewolf movies, this is definitely a top 5 of all the ones that, I mean, no, my favorite is the original 1941 Lon Chaney Jr.
Question, since you brought that up, sorry, is there porn in that one?
No, not 1941.
Oh, okay. Wasn't sure,
Well, I mean, there might be some porn in this one, but it's all animated.
Yes.
What?
He must have missed that part.
Yeah, I guess he missed that part.
And I've been wanting to do The Howling for a while. I mean, we've done American Werewolf and we've done Teen Wolf.
And that other one.
And we talked about Monster Squad, which has a wolf man.
No,
in
and
it.
the other one.
Dog Soldiers.
The British one.
Oh,
Dog
yeah,
Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers. Yeah, Dog Soldiers. Yeah.
What is
Can't
it?
remember shit.
And this guy, hold on. This guy acts like he can't get his movies on here. We've watched almost like virtually every werewolf movie ever made somehow.
I do want to say that I just picked up Dog Soldiers on 4K, and it looks so much better than the
4K
fucking Blu-ray.
Steelbook.
It looks better than the YouTube we watched it on or whatever that was.
Yeah, dude.
You watch it on Tubi or something?
Yeah, it's bad on there, people. Yeah,
Well,
it's dark.
Even the Scream Factory Blu-ray that came out that I watched when we did that episode looked terrible. And I mean, Eric, I would love to show you some comparisons because you thought the Blu-ray might look better than what you watched it on YouTube. And I disagree. Like the Blu-ray does not look very good. Like it's been a bad transfer of that movie for ages.
Yeah.
But the 4K that just came out is immaculate. Like looks so much better. It looks like a completely different movie. So I'm excited to watch it again now that I can see it without all the grain and blurriness and darkness. It might shed some light on things that I don't want to see, but hey, that's how 4K goes.
You want to see it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you want to see it.
I want to see the werewolf pubes.
That's all it is. Werewolf pubes. That's all Josh needs. Got to have the pubes, man.
Big pube guy.
Tonight we're talking about The Howling. Came out on March 13th in 1981, directed by Joe Dante. And this was his film right after Piranha in 1978, I believe.
I had done 1.5 movies by this point. So, I mean, it wasn't exactly a great coup for them to get me. But on the other hand, I knew Bob Ramey, the guy who was running Afghan Embassy at the time, because he had worked for Roger Corman as in publicity. Since we knew each other, and I was extremely cheap, I was taken off of the movie that I was going to do, which was Jaws 3 People Zero at Universal, which looked like it was, for various reasons, about to fall apart.
It was a few years between Piranha and this. And it's funny, like, Joe Dante is like a prolific 80s director, even past the 80s. But you don't hear a lot of people talk about Joe Dante a ton. But he's got, some of the most pop culture popular movies in his filmography. He's got Gremlins, The Burbs, and a slew of other movies. It's just crazy to me to think that Joe Dante did this very sexual horror movie early in his career, considering he's kind of gone more into family friendly horror as he goes down the line. But yeah, I was kind of shocked when I found out that Joe Dante directed this. So what's everybody's first experience with The Howling? I know I didn't watch it a ton as a kid. Jason's probably seen it more than all of us. Eric, how about you? When was the first time you saw The Howling?
As an adult, not when I watched as a kid. I don't know. I saw it once, I think maybe just once before this watch, actually. Probably 10 years ago or something, and didn't remember a ton of it. That's about it.
That's what I kind of come back to with this one as well. I know I've seen it multiple times, but it's not enough to really kind of hold on to what happens in the movie. Like every time I watch The Howling, I forget about certain aspects of it. I forget about the serial killer aspect. And then the next time I watch it, I forget about the whole compound and everything. So it's not one that I watched over and over again as a kid. So that's why every time I come back to it, I'm just like, whoa, I fucking forgot about that. But Jason, what is it about this movie that you connect with other than the werewolves? Like, why is this one of your top 5 werewolf movies?
Well, I mean, if you're a werewolf, like werewolf,
if you're
people,
a werewolf,
if you're a werewolf people movie, whatever you want to call it, my people's out there. The first thing is that when the human becomes a werewolf, are they a werewolf? We don't do this Twilight shit where you just become a fucking wolf. You know, you want there to be a werewolf, which is half human, half wolf, and it's just the look, not the transformation part of it, but the final. And to me, this stood out to me because it scared me as a kid the first time I saw this. I mean, I was young when I watched this because my mom liked this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, when I watched it this time, I watched it with her, and she's like, "Damn, I ain't seen this in forever," and she forgot, like you did, a lot about it. But yeah, I mean, it stuck out to me. I mean, like American Werewolf in London and stuff like that. It does leave a lasting thing because it scared me. I mean, it looked like it was real. Like you could reach out and touch it. It wasn't CGI. It wasn't like a robot, or like I call the silver bullet werewolf. He looks like a gorilla with an elongated nose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that werewolf in that movie is horrible. But this right here is, I think that's what you got, those few that stand out to you of that's what a werewolf's supposed to look like kind of like the Dog Soldiers werewolves. Those were memorable because it was different. And this was different than American Werewolf. It was different than 1941 Lon Chaney, and it looked good.
Yeah.
And of course, that transformation scene, the 2-hour transformation scene, it was great for 1981. I mean, you think about it. I mean, but that's why it sticks out to me the most. I think it was frightening as a kid. If you weren't frightening watching that when Eddie's changing and then you see the final form, or when it stands up already, like it's already in the office and stuff like that, you take off running and hide behind the couch. You're like, where are my silver bullets?
I mean, that's the point of the movie.
Exactly.
That's what you're there for.
Well, that's one thing I'll get to once we start talking about the movie, but I'm a little shocked every time to realize that you see the werewolf in full form before you see a transformation of a werewolf, which is one thing I think is a little unique about this movie. And, you're talking about Dog Soldiers and whatnot. Like, I really believe Dog Soldiers took some inspiration from this movie. Because the wolves look very, very similar in how tall they are, the facial expressions, how long the ears are, all that stuff. There's a couple of movies that have done that style of werewolf, and it's Dog Soldiers and another one that I can't think of the name of.
You're talking about Late Phases?
Yes, Late Phases. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a really bizarre werewolf movie. Before we get into the talking about the movie, let's go ahead and go back to 1981. Eric, take us back in time.
We're sending you back in time. Whoa, this is heavy.
Well, Josh, in 1981, the kids were totally twerking it out to hits like Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes and Lady by Kenny Rogers.
Lady.
Moviegoers were fully shitting their pants with films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Road Warrior, and An American Werewolf in London.
Road Warrior, the good Mad Max movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Harlem Globetrotters actually visited Gilligan's Island in 1981.
How'd they get off the island?
I don't know. You'll have to watch it, but I didn't delve that deep into. I didn't watch the episode.
Come on, man.
You guys know what the Globetrotters do when they're finished urinating?
Do I want to know?
They dribble.
The Harlem Shake.
Ah.
They don't dribble.
Jason, this is my segment. Okay, keep your jokes to yourself.
They're dribbling for prostate problem. Yeah.
Barbara Walters famously asked Katharine Hepburn, "If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? What kind of tree would you guys be if you were a tree?"
Long.
Just kidding. I don't care. Oh, sorry. Moving on. A man named Daniel Godwin scaled the outside of Chicago's Sears Tower in 1981. Speaking of climbing, the other day, I was driving by the prison. I saw a dwarf climbing down the prison wall. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a little condescending. And finally, I know you guys will remember this classic commercial from 1981. Hit it, Josh.
Oh, Paul, I like this haircut. It really shows off my...
Ring around the collar. You've got ring around the collar.
Those dirty rings. Sprays and powders weren't good enough, so I tried Whisk. Whisk does a better job on ring around the collar. And Whisk goes on to get your whole wash clean. Hi, Paul.
Hi, hey, does everyone like your new look?
Yep. It's called No More Ring Around the Collar.
Oh.
Whisk gets ring around the collar and your whole wash clean.
I don't know if I ever knew what ring around the collar was.
I remember being confused by it as well.
I'm like, what the fuck's a ring around the collar? I don't wear collars.
It's when your
I wear
collar
t-shirts.
gets grimy, you know, on your shirt, like after many wears.
All right. Well, we brought up American Werewolf in London came out the same year as The Howling, and
What a year for werewolves.
Yeah, let me tell you. And what's funny is Rick Baker, who did the effects for American Werewolf in London, originally started out on The Howling.
He left.
And he left to go work on American Werewolf in London. And then, lo and behold, another person we've talked about on this show many times, Rob Bottin.
The thing about Rob Bottin was that he was, it was and is a genius, and he was really getting a chance to show off here. So I think he took it extremely seriously. And he's a perfectionist, which is a tough thing to be when you're in his profession because, you know, there's time and there's money, and that's, you only have so much of either one of them.
Rob Bottin?
Bottin.
Bottin.
I like Bottin. Isn't that gravy with French fries? Bottin. Oh, that's poutine.
Poutine, boy.
Rob Poutine is a different guy entirely.
Yeah, he's
Poutine legend. Poutine legend Rob Poutine.
He's from Canada. Eh?
He's from Canada. Yeah.
Canadian special effects master Rob Poutine.
Oh, these effects are gravy and cheesy.
Man, Rob's totally gonna stop listening to the show now.
I know, right? Everybody, welcome our guest, Rob Bottin, everybody.
There he goes. Oh, look, there he is. Hey, what's up?
But no, it's funny. I was watching some of the behind the scenes stuff with him, and he's like, you know, they're talking about how he was kind of left to his own devices on this once Rick Baker left.
The freedom I had on the picture was really great because I was hired by, you know, Joe Dante and Mike Fennell, the producer and the director. And they basically let me do whatever I want to, and that's really rare in this situation because I'm only 21, and who's going to, you know, trust a 21-year-old to pull off these big, you know, effects in this movie that's supposed to be really good? So they said, you know, do whatever you want to do as long as it's good and spectacular, and I think that's what it is. So
I think that kind of shines through a little bit when we start talking about some of the makeup effects, because in that transformation scene, I think there's a little more going on than there needs to be, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So I found that interesting that Rick Baker bailed on this to go work on arguably a better werewolf movie. But we start this off with, you know, all this background noise and whatnot. I love the title card reveal to this movie. And it reminds me of the reveal of Michael Jackson's Thriller. Like if you put those side by side, they look very similar. Which Rick Baker worked on the werewolf effects for Michael Jackson's Thriller as well. But I always forget that this movie starts with this whole the newscast, the newscaster following, taking calls from a serial killer and just sort of like trying to nail him down with this sort of stakeout and trying to get him in a place where they can nail him down. And let's talk about Miss Dee Wallace, Scream Queen from the 80s, man. Like Dee Wallace was a peach in the 80s. I'm sorry, guys. I like she was the it girl, like right up there with Jamie Lee Curtis, I think.
She's a beautiful woman, but I don't love the performance in this movie.
I didn't say anything about her performance.
Yeah. I was talking about She's easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you had to have that in the 80s. That's a staple in the 80s movies. You know,
It's
you
a
got to
staple
have
now,
some,
dude.
Well,
Nothing's changed, I don't think. There.
they're a little different now.
Maybe.
A little bit.
We're more progressed now. Is that what you think?
I think so.
I don't know.
But honestly, like the way this movie starts out with the whole staking out the serial killer and whatnot, like I find it a very interesting way to introduce us to everything here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right away. I mean, it's almost like you're trying to catch up and figure out, because things are happening and they're about to go live, and you're like trying to I do like this beginning where there's a lot of plot happening. Everyone's in a hurry. There's a sense of urgency. You're just thrown right into this situation pretty quickly. And I do like that, although it can be slightly confusing on like a first time watch.
Well, a first time watch for sure. And then the second time you watch, you start to catch things that you missed that first time. And the guy talking and whatnot to the other newscaster while they're trying to figure out how they can go live to her on the scene. And you get introduced to a lot of your characters right here. I mean,
yeah, very quickly. You get a doctor talking on television, just like I can't help but think of Night of the Living Dead. It's a great way to like lay out some, exposition and lay out some rules and lay out some,
Yeah. And it's easy for that to kind of get lost in the first watch on this, because I remember sitting down and watching it the first time I was watching it to do research for the show. Like, I wasn't even paying attention to what the guy was saying on the TV. Like, I was just sort of trying to get into the movie. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this guy's involved. Why am I not paying attention to this guy? But I kind of like that they leave all that a little mysterious for anybody coming into this movie with fresh eyes. And, but the whole serial killer aspect is really what captivates me, though. It's like, there's something up with this guy. He's weird. They won't show us his face. All we're getting is phone calls. It's very mysterious. It's not like any werewolf movie I've really seen start like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time you think about it, all the werewolf movies you had seen previous are all set back in the old days, like in England or London, all that stuff like that. And now we're getting a modern take on werewolves right here in 1981.
Yeah. Really
quick, because you got this movie, American Werewolf in London, and Wolfen, all in the same year.
Damn.
I haven't seen
Wolfen. What year was Teen Wolf again? That was later, right?
1980.
I believe
85.
Teen Wolf was 84 or 85, I think.
Yeah.
It was before Back to the Future.
People love the wolves, baby. People love wolves.
Everything was set back then. It's always a wooded area, a town here, that's plagued by don't go outside during a full moon, all the old mythology.
Stay on the road. Keep clear of the moors.
Yeah, stuff like that. But this one here, we're sitting in the middle of a city. And then you got following this reporter around, and it is a whole different tone. It's even a different tone than American Werewolf in London, because they're backpacking through the countryside of Europe.
And it definitely starts different, but we eventually do have to migrate somewhere where it's a little more woodsy, a little more recognizable for like a werewolf setting of a movie. I honestly feel like the movie probably would be a lot more interesting had you kept it in the city, because you don't really see that a whole lot. Now, I know there are a ton of the Howling sequels.
Oh, God, yes.
And
they're horrible.
And
a lot of them.
I haven't seen any of them, I don't think. If I have, it's been bits and pieces. And I don't know what they do with them in those movies. But I almost feel like you could have like kept this movie set in the city instead of this retreat they end up going to.
I love watching older movies in the city. I love footage from the city in the 70s and the 80s. Like, I love seeing that stuff.
And her walking down Skid Row and all the porno shops and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's just it does feel like a bit of a time capsule. It's cool. Yeah. I like that beginning for sure.
Well, I was gonna say, if you guys were just nitpicking about the porn part, go watch part 2.
You mentioned tone. I think the tone is kind of weird in this movie, because you do have this sort of this start that's really like dark. Like, you've got this serial killer and he like makes her like watch this unsettling pornography.
It's a snuff film. I think he's actually doing that to the girl that he recorded it.
I didn't realize that.
Yep, because I think he was
that's
saying,
even
do you see the look
grosser.
on her face? How she was, he was describing
Oh,
what was
yeah.
happening to her. I think he actually shot it.
I thought he was just laying down a commentary track for a snuff film, is all he was
Or
doing.
he might have been, but I took it as though that he was involved with it. So, but yeah, you're in a dirty, dingy, peep show porn store in there, and he's all like right behind her with the deep, heavy voice with the breathing going on. You're like, man, this is going to be some weird fucked up shit.
That shot where he's got his hands on her shoulders and you can't see his face, he's like, that's pretty scary.
It is.
Like, she's incredibly vulnerable in that position, and he's kind of making her watch this thing. Like, that is super dark, and that's like my favorite stuff in the movie, even though I don't, that footage is like upsetting to look at, but
right.
Oh yeah,
that is the most effective stuff. I think when we get off and we're doing kind of the Wicker Man thing at this retreat or whatever, it gets more goofy. There's like some kind of silly characters, the sheriff, the old man, you got some gags, like you got some real gags going on, like some stuff that feels like Gremlins. Like,
I was gonna say,
it
feels like Gremlins that he directed after this.
Yeah.
I noticed the second time watching it just how many people are coming up to Bill and saying, your girl's really brave for doing this. She's really brave for doing this. And
Oh, you've got quite a brave young lady there, Mr. White.
she shouldn't be doing this. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
No, the whole operation is awful too. Like,
Yeah.
they lose track of her immediately as she's
the
supposed to
bug
meet this
stops
guy. What's the
working.
plan when she meets this guy?
Right.
Nobody knows where she is. They can't. It's a total disaster from the get-go. And I guess she assumes they know where she is, so that's why she just continues to do whatever. She goes into the thing, and
Well, I think that's what you're supposed to pick up from when Bill kind of like lashes out at them, and he's like, "You told me we'd never lose her," and blah blah blah. I think she has faith in the police, whereas the police are just a bunch of nitwits who don't have it together. Oh, the neon is causing interruption with the signal.
the neon. Do you think the whole Eddie serial killer thing gets kind of lost in this movie?
It does, and for good reason. They think they killed the guy.
Yeah, I think he's dead.
But
not for long. I mean, we learned that he escapes the morgue pretty quickly. It just feels like it's like end capped with it, but we don't really get a lot of Eddie.
He does kind of get lost in once we get to this retreat, like, she goes, they shoot Eddie. It's this whole big scene. She can't get over it. So the doctor that we see talking in the newscast,
Wagner.
Dr. Wagner, suggests that she goes to this retreat, that he's there.
The colony.
Yeah, the colony. And, I do like when they go into Eddie's apartment, they find all the drawings and whatnot. And
That's some cool shit.
They find the seascape drawing and whatnot. And it's like, oh, we know that shit's coming back at some point. I like that aspect. But yeah, I agree with you, Eric. Like, it seems like that whole aspect of it just completely goes away once we get to the colony. And it's a completely different story until he comes back into it once we figure out he's still alive. And it doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of leads us into this colony of werewolves.
And everything slows way down once we get here. Everything is hopping, crazy thing. And then it just goes boom when we take it down, and we're like, okay, now we're at this retreat, and it's kind of a different vibe. You know what I mean? And then now it's like, well, let's meet so-and-so, and let's meet the sheriff and Slim Pickens, and let's meet
Slim Pickens.
All right, well, you guys tell me this. What are some other movies where let's go on a retreat and be peaceful, and then all shit breaks loose? What are other movies like that?
But I think that's what Eric and I are trying to say is, like, it goes to a place that we're familiar with and kind of familiar with that sort of a setup. I feel like
not in 1981 you weren't. If you would have watched it back then, you weren't. Now after that, yes, they ran that shit into the. Here, let's send them somewhere where you don't think that
I don't really have a problem. Yeah, I don't really have a problem with that. I'm just saying tonally it changes a lot.
She basically has PTSD from her running with Eddie, and she's even shutting out memories of. I mean, that was kind of like you were talking about the hands on there. You could hear his voice changing. You could even hear shit going on, gooey sounds before they shot him. Like something was about to happen, but you didn't see it, which I thought was a very cool aspect. They didn't throw it out there 5 minutes out of the movie.
I do like that she maintains the aspect that she doesn't remember what happened, and which is completely believable in that kind of a situation. I think like you probably wouldn't remember some traumatic shit that just happened like that. Now, where we run into some issues is Dee Wallace's performance of some of this is kind of lackluster, especially when she's having the dreams and waking up from the dreams. Like it's a little acted, in my opinion. Yeah. But I mean, I still like Dee Wallace in this. I just think some of her choices that she makes in this movie are a little wonky. It's almost like she wasn't like super into the role, you know?
It's like she's not right for that. Like they're asking her to do too much.
Yeah.
That she, you know what I mean?
But Bill is just a fucking cog in the wheel in this movie. Like, I don't really care for him at all, and I think you start to hate him as the movie goes on.
Oh yeah, you really hate him later.
I had notes where I was like, okay, he goes to this. First of all, he shouldn't have let her do this thing in the beginning. Is he like under some kind of spell? She gives him the punch. Sorry, I'm talking about what's her name? Marcia here.
Marcia, the nymphomaniac.
Is he under her spell, or is he just like a horny dude?
No, it's animal magnetism, dude.
That's what I'm honestly asking. Yeah, is he like he's a victim in this? Is what I'm asking. Is he a victim, or is he an asshole?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you think about it. You know, you want to deal with the old mythology of things. You know, like the vampires can give you the look, and
right?
You're
they can
taken under their control.
Yeah,
and supposedly, I mean, like in Teen Wolf, he becomes Teen Wolf. He gets the hot girl in school because she's attracted to him because he's cool and he's hip. But I think it's more of an animal magnetism, like a pheromone thing that they put out. You know, it deals with your primal self, and that's probably what he's getting a hold of. Is he's like, damn. And she is walking around with pretty much everything hanging out, and she's
she's throwing herself at him, but yeah, I mean, just the way he behaves once they get to the place is not great, and I was just curious. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, is it some kind of werewolf like seduction magic or pheromone?
Well, what I find funny is he's on more than one occasion he's like, "Oh, I stay away from meat," yet he's like chomping at the bit to go shoot animals and shit, and it's like, that's kind of mixed signals we're getting there. And then like once he gets bit, of course, all that changes. But I found it kind of weird that they decided to pull this whole I stay away from meat. I know it's to develop the story, but it's just still kind of jarring.
It is funny for him to go hunting immediately after that.
Yeah, and just like be all into the fact, like he runs like a little kid to collect that rabbit. Like, ooh, I shot a rabbit.
I got it! And you see all them other guys.
You're right.
He's like the little kid from Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
You city slicker. You don't know what you're talking about. Shit.
This is off topic, but have you guys seen Men? Either of you?
I have.
You have?
I want to.
I thought of Men in this too. A woman that goes somewhere to process a trauma and kind of, you know, finds more trouble and has some amnesia type, not amnesia, but, you know, is like trying to deal with the memory kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think it borrows from this.
You're talking about the stupid stuff that Karen does. The total horror movie trope thing is, I hear a noise outside. Let's go the fuck outside in the middle of the woods in the dark.
Yeah.
With the fucking shitty ass flashlight.
Yeah.
That later comes.
And then she gets the rifle and goes out later.
Yeah. And I'm like,
so she's like all putting herself in danger constantly.
Yeah. I mean,
unnecessary. Look
what you just dealt with this thing. You know, she's obviously suffering from PTSD, but I will walk through the woods in the dark anytime. Nothing bad's going to happen to me out here. Really? Come on, Dee Wallace.
You've been in enough horror movies. You should know the difference.
Yeah, come on. You've been in
Come on, Dee
Cujo and
Wallace.
everything else. What's it with her and K9?
Right. Expecting
werewolves and the freaking big ass dog.
A Saint Bernard to come up and tackle her at any moment.
There you go. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that she's so willing to put herself out there in those situations. It's like, you know, maybe it wasn't all Bill that, you know, was responsible for putting her in the position with going to find Eddie and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just really weird. And then we get introduced to, you know, there's Marcia the nymphomaniac and her brother. What's the brother's name? TC. That dude's fucking weird.
Well, you know that right off the bat. You look at both of them. They're both dressed in like old clothes, like leather. He's got the big leather jacket with the big fluff you know,
Right.
on the,
She's got
on
like
the thing.
beads and like
Yes,
teeth and
so to
stuff on
him,
her
yeah,
necklace.
you know that, you know, there's something up with
They're
them,
country folk.
or they're from like, you know, Dothan, Alabama or something. I don't know.
Besides, who needs dogs? We got TC.
That boy's part blood out.
But I think they kind of try to give you a little bit of a red herring with him as well, because the first time we see any inkling of Eddie in this movie, he's talking on the phone to Karen, and he like licks his lips all gross like.
Like a dog would.
Yeah, and then we see TC do the same thing. Like when he sees her walking around the compound, he's kind of licking his lips and looking all, ugh. And so I love when Bill shoots the rabbit. He's like,
My sister will be glad to cook it up for you. Marcia just loves to cook.
he seems like he should be a character in like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or Road Warrior.
Yeah,
Yep.
he'd
We
fit
got
right in
a
there.
feral kid in Road Warrior too. Just put this guy right in there.
I mean, really and truly, when that part happens, somebody needs to go in and put in a banjo right there with him in the tree. Dude, it would fit perfect. We got
It would.
Deliverance going
It would.
on in a
It
horror
would.
movie.
And Bill doesn't question it. Again, I'm wondering
Oh,
if
no.
he's still under the spell, or he's like, oh, I'll go to this weird shack in the woods in the middle of the night, and this lady this lady will cook this rabbit for me. What?
Well, you got two things. Okay, if you got the whole Marcia animal acting, but you also got to remember his wife. I think they're married because they said that she doesn't have his name. She kept her professional
Yeah, she
name
kept
or
her.
something.
She uses
Right, it's a
maiden name.
running
So they're-
gag in
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah, so they're married, but remember, she's shutting him out of the bedroom time action because she's
For
like, no, I
one
can't-
day or something.
No, but it could have been going. We don't know exactly how long it took between there and there. But man, hey, man, he has needs. Maybe they were getting it every night, man. They're like newlyweds. It's 2 to 3 times a day on the weekends.
I don't
And next
know.
thing you know, he
man.
ain't getting
Good
any.
God.
So he's all backed up, man, and you got this hot chick hitting on him. He's like, shit. So
Does she? What do you think she smells like, Marcia? Probably not good. I'm gonna guess.
like
Doesn't matter.
like a wet dog.
that's wrong, man.
Yeah, she's. You want to talk about Dee Wallace not being good?
Oh,
She's pretty. Marcia Elizabeth Brooks is pretty bad. Worse, might I say?
You know what she reminded me of in this? The girl from fucking Wild Things, Denise Richards. She reminds me of Denise Richards so much.
yeah.
She just comes across as ditzy a little bit.
And
Not
that's
like
why.
some kind of mastermind. Yeah, exactly. Not some kind of like leader of the werewolves. She comes across as like a ditzy like
Yeah.
model or something. She doesn't seem threatening really.
And it's hard to pick up on there because it seems like the doctor knows that she's this feral beast, and it seems like he's trying to tame her. They don't make it clear on exactly what they're trying to do on this compound.
I thought they did.
Hang out with their werewolf friends. Like,
We can fit in, you said. We can live with them. You make me sick.
Marcia.
Oh, you're through, Doc.
It's the argument you get with a lot of vampire movies. We're the top of the food chain. We should rule everything. No, we should stay in the shadows. So
It's the same
Dr.
thing.
Wagner is like, we have to live among them and hunt carefully. And, we can use this this compound to bring into our ranks and things like that carefully and slowly. She wants to just go buck wild.
She wants to run naked on the beach and eat people in the woods, man. Who wouldn't?
so do you think Eddie was a pawn, like placed in the city to draw these people in? Like,
No.
it seems very convenient that all of these characters are in the newsroom when all this shit's going down, and then Eddie's connected to the whole thing. Like,
Well,
all of
the
that seems
connection
really
is Dr.
convenient.
Wagner.
Dr.
Yeah.
Wagner is the thing that ties them all
But
together.
yeah, I see what you're saying. We don't get an answer, I don't think, of why Eddie's there. It just is Wagner working in the city trying to. If you listen to Wagner's points in the beginning of the film, he's kind of defending the thought of using your animal instinct.
As if we'd lost something valuable in our long evolution into civilized human beings. Now, there's a good reason for this. Man is a combination of the learned and the instinctive, of the sophisticated and the primitive. We should never try to deny the beast, the animal within us.
I think my read of it is Eddie wouldn't stay in the woods. The Marsha, Eddie, and TK or whatever don't want to listen to TC, don't want to listen to Dr. Wagner, and that's where things go sideways because Eddie couldn't be kept in the woods.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I was going to go with. I was just like, he's tired of Dr. Wagner telling them what they need to do and feed on the cattle, and let's just learn about their society and work our ways in. And they're like, fuck it, dude. It's a smorgasbord in town.
Right.
There's so many
so Wagner
people.
is playing cleanup. He's trying to go, okay, she's seen him. We need to bring her in.
Yeah, that's why he makes her go there. He's like, fuck, we're found out, but if we take her there, she can either become one of us or she can be fucking 7 p.m. dinner. So one of the two. And that's the whole thing, I think. I think Eddie's just tired of being
Wagner
tied
is
down.
trying to clean up the mess that Eddie makes.
It seems very convenient that he's on the news show that's covering this serial killer search.
It is.
And
it is indeed.
And it just, they don't really give you a good, reasoning behind. I mean, you can put that together like you guys just did, I guess, but it's just kind of weird to find out that he's connected to everything that's happening, even the serial killer stuff.
I feel like this movie would benefit from keeping it focused on maybe who that person was in the porn box.
Yeah.
And maybe we get a reveal at the end. Maybe we meet Eddie as a person at the colony and we get a reveal that that's who it was in the box. You know what I'm saying? Like that would kind of tie everything together because it does feel like kind of two different movies. You've got
we need to get Eric in touch with Netflix because supposedly Netflix is remaking this.
Oh yeah.
Well, that brings me to the point that I was going to make is I think this is a prime candidate for a remake. Like, I think you could do something really cool with a lot of the aspects of this movie. I just think in 81, they did the best they could with it. And it does come across very dated now. Yeah. But I think the story that you've got going on in this movie is very interesting and captivating.
I think the story in the beginning
is
where it's all at. The serial killer that's a werewolf. That's cool.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah. You could keep it in the city and then maybe work it in instead of going all the way out to the colony, you work it into suburbia. Don't take it all the way out to the woods. Just kind of he's killing in the city, but he's the next door neighbor. Suburbia.
Well, then you got Fright Night territory you're working into.
No. I'm saying he's in the city, but he's like, but I'm just saying that's who he was. Then they say, he's like somebody in the city finds him out. Then he goes and starts hunting them down in suburbia. And then, but you never know. You got to wait to get that reveal. None of this. You knew that Jerry was the vampire pretty quick in Fright Night and stuff like that. You got
when you see him carrying a coffin into the fucking basement of his house, you kind of assume that he's a fucking vampire. But no, we were so obsessed in the early 80s and early movies with needing to supply everyone with an answer to questions, and it was not common to get a very open-ended movie and whatnot back in the 80s and 70s and everything. And I think, the more ambiguous you could leave this story, the more captivating it would be. And yeah, Eric, you make a great point of don't tell us who Eddie is. Don't show us who Eddie is and reveal that at the end. That would have been a much better movie, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you had the werewolf just killing people and then they finally take him out.
Yeah.
He changes back to Eddie.
Yeah.
And now we know who he is.
But
never let you know who it is. It can be like the whole Scream thing.
Everybody's a suspect.
And it feels like they try to do that a little bit, but it gets lost in the shuffle with everything. So.
But like in most 80 movies, you got to have some exposition, and we get that from our good buddy Dick Miller about right here. We've been going back and forth with everybody in the colony.
Your classic werewolf can change shape anytime it wants, day or night, whenever it takes a notion to. That's why I call them shapeshifters. I got a dozen books on it.
Well, while we're talking about actors, let's go ahead and do Almost Famous.
Almost Famous.
I know that, dude.
I don't know them. I know her.
Haven't you ever heard of that guy?
That guy who was in that movie that was out last year?
I'm sort of famous for being almost famous.
What I find really fun about this movie is I'm noticing all these people, a lot of them from Gremlins, but
Piranha.
Well, Piranha, Gremlins, and the thing is a lot of the people in this movie have worked with Joe Dante on most of his movies. He's kind of like Tarantino and like Spielberg, like when he finds a group of people that he likes to work with.
Dick Miller is there.
Yes, Dick Miller.
And what's funny is Dick Miller plays the same character. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was actually the same character in this and in Gremlins and in like the Terminator. Like in the Terminator, he's just the guy giving the Terminator all the information about the guns. In this, he's giving him all the information about werewolves. He's just there to lay down exposition for the audience, basically, in all the movies he's in.
What about killing it with silver bullets?
Oh, sure. Silver bullets are fire. It's the only way to get rid of the damn things. They're worse than cockroaches.
You gotta watch out for the foreigners because they plant gremlins in their machinery. That's the same gremlins brought down our planes in the big one. I may close early today. There's a 15-day wait on the handguns, but the rifles you can take right now. You can't do that.
Wrong.
He's just a fun presence, though. Like, it's fun that he's there. Yeah.
Speaking of that being in the same, did you realize that we do have a character in this movie that is the same character in Gremlins?
No, I did not.
The news commentator, Lou, is the same news commentator that's in Gremlins.
Oh, yeah.
Reports concerning little green men.
Yeah.
And he's also the vice principal from Teen Wolf.
That's right.
That's right. Lou.
I knew that dude looked familiar. I love when they cut to that guy and he's looking in the mirror practicing his news stuff, and then his whole demeanor changes when Bill comes into the bathroom and he's like got this country accent.
Lingetty with a recent string of Hi, Bill. That's a brave little old girl you got there.
I actually did some research here. Dick Miller has been in all but 2 of Joe Dante's movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Dick Miller might have passed away, and that's why he wasn't in the last couple that he was in or that he directed. But yeah, it was just 2 movies out of Joe Dante's entire filmography that Dick Miller has not been in. I found that pretty interesting.
That's cool.
But you've got Terry, the other person from the TV, Karen's friend, who's kind of doing the investigation with her husband or boyfriend. They don't really make that clear. I think it's her boyfriend, Chris.
Boyfriend and girlfriend, yeah.
But I recognized her from Gremlins as well. She has a very bit part, but she's the lady that walks up to Mrs. Deagle and is talking about how like her husband lost his job, they can't pay their rent, and Mrs. Deagle is just a complete bitch to her. So I recognized her from that. Who do you guys have for Almost Famous?
Well, I've got Kevin McCarthy. Dude was on loads of television, of course, and just dropped my pen. He's in UHF. Inner Space, lots of television around
Twilight
that time.
Zone
That was
episode.
And that was a guy that I was used to seeing just kind of everywhere in the 80s. Noble Willingham also.
I seen you on television.
You know, from Walker, Texas Ranger is all I ever think of, just because that was always on TV as a kid. But City Slickers, Boy
Slickers,
Scout.
that was on TV the other day. I remember.
Yeah. Also lots of television, Matlock,
Good Morning Vietnam,
Home Improvement, Murder, She Wrote. Walker, Texas Ranger, though, is really what do you think of?
You're talking about the guy who played Shelley in The Last Boy Scout, right?
Yeah,
the guy who owned the football team.
Yes, he's Charlie or whatever his name is in this.
I just realized Eddie was Robert Picardo.
Oh yeah, dude, you didn't know that?
No, are you making fun of me?
Yes, I'm making fun of you.
He was in Star Trek Voyager. He was the doctor.
Computer, can I access this ship's EMH program, or do I need some kind of clearance for that, too?
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
Dude, he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's a character actor, been in a lot of stuff. That's I know mostly from Voyager, but...
Let's see. Back to School, Inner Space, 976, Evil, The Burbs, Gremlins 2, Total Recall, Small Soldiers, Wonder Years, China Beast, Stargate Atlantis, and so on.
Yeah, but most importantly, Star Trek Voyager.
That's only in Europe because you're one of them weird Trekkie people. So we're Star Wars here, buddy.
Well, Picardo and McCarthy are also people that I know from Inner Space. I watched
Inner Space, yes.
I watched Inner Space a ton as a kid, and like that's where I recognized most of these people from. Picardo played the cowboy in that.
Can't rope a steer 'cause I don't know how, and I'm not supposed to learning how. Yippee-i-oh-hi.
And then McCarthy was one of the evil henchman guy, or not the henchman, but like the big bad of the movie. And So that's where I recognize them from. There's also Dennis Dugan, who plays Chris Halloran. He's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies and whatnot.
The reason is because he directs them.
Yeah.
He directed all the like grown-ups and all that stuff, all the Happy Gilmore,
Big Daddy.
He directed all that.
There's a lot of people in this movie. Thinking of movies from '81.
Yeah.
And
usually, how popular they were in '81, we don't know, but I mean, a lot of these actors have obviously gotten to a point where we've recognized them over the years. So,
hey,
mostly through television.
The character Earl was John Carradine. That's David Carradine's dad. Mr. David Carradine from Kung Fu, the TV show, and he was in Bad Guy, I think in a Chuck Norris movie. He's been a bad guy a lot.
Kill Bill.
Another Gremlins one too is the older police officer in the beginning. Not the one that shoots Eddie, but the older guy.
Yeah.
He is in Gremlins. He's the guy in the gas station that he gives the smokeless ashtray to.
Oh, yes.
Nice. That little tidbit is perfect for this segment.
Yeah. So I saw it the first time I watched the movie. I was like, I know that fucking dude from something, but I couldn't place it. And then the second time, I was like, that's where I know that motherfucker from. Yeah,
I know that guy.
You know that guy from that movie.
So that's we don't know that guy's name right off the top of I don't know his name right off the top of my head anyway, but I'm giving him Almost Famous in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I'm going Picardo.
Yeah, I like Picardo too. I'm going to do that. Jean-Luc Picardo. I'm sure someone's made that joke before.
Oh God!
But we obviously can't give it to Dick Miller. He's already won numerous times, I think.
Kevin McCarthy too is a face that I just saw all the time. I'm sure he was just. I didn't look at everything he was.
Did that dude ever play a Bond villain? Like he seems like the perfect guy to play a Bond.
He's
villain.
always the corporate sleazeball or the he's.
Hey, wait, hold on a second. Speaking of Bond. We have a guy that was in a Bond movie. And it was, I believe, Dr. Sam Wagner, A View to a Kill.
Oh.
I did see that on Wikipedia.
We should have mentioned him. He's another familiar face, from the 80s. Like he did a lot of TV as well. So
I remember him from Waxwork. Do you remember that, Josh?
I've never seen Waxwork.
What the hell? Yeah. I just don't know you. No Iron Eagle, no Waxwork. I don't know.
He's in Waxwork too.
I watch good movies, Jason.
Well, I was going to say back to Dick Miller because we're to the part we get to the occult store. Like we were mentioned earlier with Dick Miller, you got to have the exposition of what they're dealing with because somebody's got to tell these city folk that there's obviously something supernatural going on. And we get Chris and Terry in the store, and he lays it out because they automatically go to start talking about werewolves and witches and shit.
You believe in this?
What am I, an idiot? I'm making a buck here. You want books? I got books. I got chicken blood. I got dog embryos. I got black candles. I got wolf bane. Look at this. Silver bullets. Some joker ordered them. 3006. Never picked them up.
You will always find what you're looking for in an 80s bookstore. Like
you could solve
immediately. You walk in and you're like,
bookstore.
I need to know about this crazy demon from from like the medieval times on this crazy weird island. They go, oh yeah, we've got the book right here. Slide beep beep boop. Here you go.
The thing that's crazy is now that information is right here.
Now you have the internet and you can't find shit on it.
But an 80s bookstore, everything.
Yeah, everything. They got what you need.
I love how matter of fact he is and how like the guys are really serious with him and he seems like he's being serious with them, but he's like, come on, man. Like, you're going to pay me or what? Like, he's just telling these people some shit that he's read in these books and just like, give me your money, pay for your books and get the hell out of my store.
Yeah. And he just happens to have some silver bullets laying around.
That's the weirdest thing.
I'm like, yeah, they're just sitting here on the counter, silver bullets.
He says somebody ordered them and never picked them up. Like, who's going to, I'm going to go into Barnes and Noble tomorrow and be like, hey, I need this book and I need a pack of fucking 30-06 bullets. Like that was the 80s. You could get bullets and books in the same stores.
Dude, I just want to point out the fact that Josh named a bullet and it was correct.
Good job, Josh.
I mean, his last name is Browning. The thing is, too, in this, throughout all the way back from when it was only talk about werewolves in books to the movies in the early days, so now the mythology always changes, and they changed it in this movie, too.
Even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
In this, it says werewolves can change anytime they want to.
That's part of what I mean by Dick Miller's delivery of that. It's just like, he's like, oh no, they're shapeshifters. They can do it anytime. Like, he's so matter of fact about it. Like, are you stupid? You don't know anything about werewolves? Come on. You know,
he basically says, don't worry about it. Just have a good time. Don't worry about it. To the listener, don't worry about the rules or just
but at least they do the silver bullet. Silver bullet is the only way you can kill them. You have to. And I love, we get it in here. Well, that, and they can regenerate. And tell me if that's not a setup for something that happens just not even a little bit later in the movie. And you're like, I wonder what they were going to do with this. I mean,
we mentioned the police officers being inept, just like most police officers are inept in 80s movies. And, Chris and Terry kind of become the police officers of this movie. Like, they work for a TV station, yet they're the ones doing all the detective work here. They go to the morgue to see Eddie's body, and lo and behold, it's gone.
Okay, I want to point out something about that. The guy working in the morgue, I love how he knocks on the door. Hey, you got visitors, Eddie? And he opens it up. The sheet is totally torn up, and there are claw and puncture wounds in a stainless steel door. And he just kind of looks at it like, oh,
that's peculiar.
Must have got him.
Yeah, it's very clear that it was broken out of.
Yeah, not opened, but from inside out.
Yeah,
right.
And he just like, oh, okay, whatever. And even Chris and Terry are like, oh. That's it. There's big, puncture wounds and claw marks on the door. Oh, it's no big deal. The guy that just had long fingernails.
I mean, in their defense, Chris and Terry do shortly come around to the idea that it might be werewolves or shapeshifters pretty quickly. Whereas most people would be like, no way.
Well, Dick Miller's character was so convincing that they were like, oh, well, it has to be werewolves. I also, it's another thing in the 80s, and I think they still do it now, where like the people who work in the morgue are so jaded about what they do that they
always have a sandwich.
I was gonna say it. Friday the 13th, throw the sandwich on the body.
Yeah. Everyone's got it. Every guy working in the morgue has a sandwich. Always lunchtime, eating a snack.
That's the last thing I'd want to do.
I'm gonna go get a bite of my cold cut trio while I'm operating on this dead body.
Yeah, while they're filleted open and they look like a cold cut trio.
My dad used to work at a funeral home, and he had to work night shift at a funeral home sometimes and wait for calls. And he would go pick up bodies if people died and did pick up bodies. And he would have to sit in and he was like 19 with like no training whatsoever, like going in, picking up bodies and bringing them back to the morgue in the middle of the night. How's that for a job?
Man, how did your dad walk with those balls that big at 19? Ain't no way I'm doing that at 19. Gonna go, I gotta run out here and go pick up this body from this Ford pile.
That honestly sounds
vehicle pile up.
That sounds like the setup for a nice 80s fucking zombie movie, to be honest with you.
It does. It does. He's got some gnarly stories, but yeah, it does desensitize you a bit, I guess. I don't know. I don't think my dad ever ate a sandwich off a dead body, but
yeah, I think
probably not.
You should ask your dad, hey, when you were doing that, did you ever just crave eating a sandwich while
you ever eat a sandwich with lettuce and tomato?
When you order a sub sandwich from Publix, does it take you back to when you were picking up dead bodies when you were 19 years old?
I just want to know, when you were filling out the paperwork, did you ever lay your sandwich on the body that was there?
On the body.
I need to know this. We need to know if this really happens, because it happens in every horror movie that involves a morgue.
But while we're figuring out that there's werewolves in this movie, Bill, after he shoots his rabbit, has an encounter in the woods and gets bit by something.
Yeah, it just jumped out at him. And that's the thing I had to go back and watch it. I could never really see it bite his arm. It looked like it scratched.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't remember it biting him in the arm. I thought it was just like a scratch or something. But maybe, I mean, it's kind of
So
dark
only
when
a
all
bite,
that happens.
Only a bite will turn you? Is that the rule?
Well, no, because supposedly you can be
turn you?
scratched too and stuff like that. But mostly it's the bite, it's the saliva.
Bill just got bitten by a wolf.
Whoever is bitten by a werewolf and lives becomes a werewolf himself.
What if, now just, we've gone through COVID. We've learned a lot about transmission of things.
Yeah.
You got the bite, right? That makes sense. It bites. You got saliva, gets in there. Scratch, okay. Claws might transfer
Yeah, like
something
what if they were
there.
picking your teeth or their butt and then it got in the scratch?
What if a wolf spit in your mouth?
That's what it was.
I don't want to go there. I really want to go there. And I'm not doing it.
If you're having, like the,
Werewolf
like the
S&M, spit in my mouth.
Like the the things where like the visualizations that they would give us during COVID, where like if someone sneezed and like this big like all the mist comes out of her mouth, like if Marcia sneezed at the cookout at the barbecue and it got in like their eyes, like would they turn into werewolves just from a sneeze in the eye?
I don't know.
You're getting deep, man.
I'm just curious.
My question is who bit him? Was it Marcia or TC? What's his name? TC.
Gosh,
TC.
yeah. Do you know, Jason? Is it TC?
I don't think
or-
I don't know.
Oh.
I thought
I always thought it was Marcia just because he ran from her. So
Well, just because she's like going after him the entire
right.
movie.
I
like,
just assumed it was
was.
Marcia, but
and she wanted him so that
Could
she
be
knows
Eddie.
the one way she can have him is turn him because he's going to come to her.
He's going to come
now-
on her too.
Joshua.
Gonna make
Joshua.
some little, make up some little wolf cubs.
Stop it now.
Now, when they do meet each other in the woods and have their little sexy time, I do think that their initial changing as this stuff is, getting hot and heavy is kind of cool looking to watch them kind of change while they're, having sex. But then it cuts to this
That animation
awful fucking animation of them fucking by a campfire.
And you can just see him on top and he goes, oh, like that. And his mouth gets bigger and stuff. And then it just,
When it came time to do the werewolf transformations during the love scene, it was quite apparent that we weren't going to be able to afford to do that in any other way than animation, which suggests a little more obviously than I would have liked that they've actually turned into wolves.
You don't need it. It doesn't need to be there. Cut to a shot of the moon with a howl. That's all you need. You don't have to make that animation. You don't have to show that.
No, you could cut that out and it would make the movie better.
Yeah, there's another moment later that's kind of like that. That looks
The stop
bad with
motion
it.
one?
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, this is in a time in film where and in horror where like it's all about the effects, right? Like it's all about like what are we gonna see, that kind of stuff. Like what can you pull off with these effects? Yeah, I would have preferred a shot of the moon with some howling. That's fine with me. But it's all right. A lot of bladders, maybe too many bladders. I don't know why people's face. I mean, I love bladders. Don't get me wrong, but I like their faces balloon into almost like kind of comical. And again, maybe that's on purpose. There's some humor in this movie. I mean, there's Eddie's transformation, which we haven't gotten to yet, but there's moments of that look silly. Like his face is like halfway between and he looks ridiculous. Like,
well, there's a lot I have to say about the transformations.
Faces are all bubbling and getting crazy and stuff. And I don't know.
Before we get to him, though, we have, Terry doing her.
Terry and Chris are now here. They're in the colony.
Well, no, Terry comes and Chris stays behind.
Yeah, Terry comes. Yes, right.
But Terry has started to figure all this shit out. She pulls the picture up of the drawing that the guy did. She finds the cove that he was drawing.
I like that, by the way.
That's
I
cool.
like the drawing payoff with the cove. That's good shit.
And that's when she knows, holy shit, Eddie was right here when he drew that.
Yep.
And
then
and the whole debacle with her at the, I guess it's the medical facility on the compound and whatnot, trying to call Chris.
No, before that, I don't want to skip before that. There's a whole scenario of her running to that cabin in the woods before that.
And I guess that's where Eddie was at the compound. Like, that's all his shit there. And I'm guessing he and TC were bunking, like bunkmates or something.
I guess so. And they do that whole setup too. Is a whole Little Red Riding Hood, where she's wandering through the woods, and you hear the little thing in the background, and then she goes into that. I got total Little Red Riding Hood vibes of there.
No, I didn't think about that.
I didn't even pick up on
Did
that.
she like
yeah.
try different chairs or beds or anything?
No, that's
Did she eat any oatmeal?
That's Goldilocks, dumbass, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah. Wait, you're saying real? This is a rough night for me, you guys. Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, so
She's going to grandmother's house.
Well, yeah, grandmother's house. Wolf dressed up like it's kind of more the other one, I think.
No, I'm just saying she's wandering through the woods by herself.
Yeah.
You got the wolves lurking. She
Yeah.
goes into a house.
Uh-huh.
And there it is Eddie. And I was waiting for Eddie to jump out dressed as grandma, and that would have been a payoff.
Yeah. Dressed as grandma.
Well, I love her whole interaction with this mysterious wolf that starts chasing her here, and the whole hacking the arm off.
The
and
arm,
then watching it transform.
That was cool.
Like the effects there are great. Like I love that whole scene with him coming after her chopping the arm off. Like all that's great.
I mean, even the wolf looks good. That's the thing. We've seen some of the wolf here, and it looks great.
It
does look good. And everything.
And a fully formed wolf in the daytime at that. Like,
yeah,
they put it on display pretty blatantly, and like you don't really see that in werewolf movies either. It's always kind of a lead up, and then you have this transformation into the wolf and whatnot. Like they give you a glimpse of this of the werewolves before you get to see who they are transforming into them, which I thought was really kind of ballsy for a movie that's trying to keep it mysterious like that, you know?
Well, and I did like the fact that when she got in there, you see the smiley face sticker.
Yeah.
That she knew it was Eddie. By the way, that sticker's also on the fridge in Gremlins, I think they said. So
I feel like that's kind of like an effort to make some kind of icon, and I wish it was something else other than the smiley face, because that of course makes you think of all kinds of other things, and like just the regular smiley face but if it was something else, because it's almost like it's this not calling card, but like, you know, it was at the porn box, it was, you know,
booth.
at the phone booth, so
the phone
she
booth,
know to
it's
go there.
And you kind of wish it was maybe something else unique to this movie, like something that would you know, you would associate only with this movie. But yeah, I mean I like that attack scene, but again, here's where we're this is a we've mentioned how long the transformation scene is. This is another, and there's some other points later. Maybe this is just you know, we're watching this through a modern lens of, you know, film making, but like the timing on some of these action, or I'm calling them action scenes, like the attack, they drag, and it's like, I'm in the action. I shouldn't feel like I'm waiting for it to move on. And you know, she's climbs up under the deck or whatever, and it's attacking her where she chops the arm and stuff like that, which I love. The arm chop, I love the effects of the arm.
They did a good job.
Yeah, there's a lot of reaction from her showing the monster, reaction from her showing the monster, reaction from her, and you're just like, okay, like let's get going. And I that maybe that's just a modern timing thing that hasn't aged, you know, well, but I felt that in the transformation. I felt that in the attack in the office.
Well, I feel like they handle it. I feel like they handle it better with Terry in the arm chopping stuff. Like it's when you get to the medical facility and she's calling Chris, and then the werewolf busts in again. Like the whole interaction with Terry, I don't mind. It's when you have Karen coming and finding Terry dead, and then Eddie shows up. And it's Eddie's whole transformation. She could have went fucking shopping, saw a movie, fucking like, and she could have been gone and come back in the time that he fucking transforms in front of her. Now
she was frozen in fear.
Yeah, I
Jason?
mean, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to that because I want to talk about the fact of how, you know, they're werewolves, you know, and they always talk about they're mindless creatures. They eat. When she goes there, it hits the tape player as a werewolf to record what's going on.
Like a gremlin would.
Like a gremlin would. And then she's calling. But the best thing was she's going through the files and you see it go.
Picks
the file up. And then you see this huge freaking 8-foot werewolf right here. And like you said, right out in the open, well lit.
Yeah.
right in that doctor's office, right there. And dude, that scared the shit out of me as a kid. When you see it grab.
But there's the tone there too, like that. Watching that now, that shit's funny when he just grabs the file like that.
Well, that's like it is funny, and it feels completely different from that first part of the movie where it's like
serious.
this weird snuff film serial killer guy.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I'll take that. Werewolf, you will not be looking at that file.
Yeah,
and
it's
the pretty funny.
The fact that how long does it take the werewolf to kill her? He picks her up out of the throat and just holds her there, looking at her in the face like this, which is cool because I mean, you really get some detail in the looks of the werewolf right there. You're looking right in the face. There's no side angle, just eye shot, or no, you're getting the whole thing with the big long ears. And then he finally bites her. And then next thing you know, like you said, you get Karen running to the doctor's office. And then that whole sequence. And I know you guys, like you said, well, I guess we'll talk about that right now. But I still think it is a scarier moment than when it happens in American Werewolf in London when he changes. I do think the transformation is a better one. But I think as far as a horror movie goes, this scared the shit out of me as a kid. But American Werewolf, I was kind of laughing because of the whole music playing in the background and everything. And I'm just like,
I agree. This is played more for scares than the other one. Yeah. I mean, from a technical standpoint, the other one's better. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, the balloon, the bladder work going on in his face is absolutely over the top.
I'd heard rumors about this, what was new about this makeup, the sort of bladder effect, that they glued little airbags to your skin and then basically put a copy of your own skin, in other words, a latex mask that had been molded on your own face, over the little bags. Well, I didn't know that the bags would be condoms. A little bladder goes a long way, we discovered. We were bladder but wiser when we were finished.
Like, there's way too much of that shit going on. And it makes it look really goofy.
Well, there's Josh, can you just put that right here? The image of his face at that midpoint where it's just like,
yeah,
like, he looks like the Joker. He's like the Joker right here. He's the Joker wolf. Is what he
but
is.
Again, there's he does look goofy sometimes, but there's goofiness in this movie so you're like, okay, well, maybe that's just like a Joe Dante thing. Like maybe it's just a tone that they don't mind being kind of over the top goofy here.
Which would be fine if they established that at the beginning somehow. But the beginning, like you said earlier, is so dark and dingy and different from where the rest of the movie goes.
The beginning is gritty.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie is not gritty.
Yeah.
Dude, it's almost like the beginning is like Henry, the portrait of a serial killer, and then it becomes Gremlins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have anything to compare to. I haven't watched Henry yet, so.
I haven't seen Henry either.
Oh my God, what the? I quit.
The beginning is seven. And the rest is Gremlins. Yeah, that is kind of what it's like. And
everything's nice, but I like it too. It's changing because in a lot of werewolf movies, it's just, you see the foam stretching and everything. Dude, we get gooey, like some thing gooey here. Snot rolling out, saliva, stuff.
I like goo. I've said on this podcast, I love goo.
Well, the reason I would say American Werewolf, I think the American Werewolf transformation is technically better and just better in general because just the whole fact that you've got Karen standing there watching this happen, and you can say that she's frozen in fear watching it.
She can't. I mean, think about it. If that was happening in front of you, you're pissing and shitting yourself. You're not moving.
No. If that's happening in front of me, I'm running. I'm not watching the show.
Josh, you have an excellent point. That makes it take longer because we're cutting back to her multiple times,
right.
And I swear there's a cut to her where she looks bored. She's like she's like, ah, and then it's him, and then and then it's him, and it's like
she's tapping her watch.
Yeah, she's like, and it's him again, and then she's back to go, ah.
And the main reason I'd say American Werewolf is better is because you're just simply watching this guy transform into a werewolf. There's no stakes there other than the fact that you're watching him transform. Like, there's no one there for him to murder. He has to go out and do that. She's standing right there watching this happen. That's what makes it a little more weird and kind of just nudges it out of that spot for me.
Yeah. And then, like I said, in my complaint, like I said earlier, and you're talking about werewolf movies, the reason I like the Howling is because when he changes, he looks like a werewolf. he's standing on two legs,
Yeah.
like a man, and he looks like a wolf. Where in American Werewolf, he looks more like a dog. He's on four legs, more wolf-like, hardly any human. He's just huge.
Yeah. I will agree. I don't love the final design of the American Werewolf in London as much as this. So I'll give you that.
Right here. Fist bump. Bam, bam. Just like, fuck you guys.
No, and that's fine. But I another thing I do like about Eddie though is like I like when you see Eddie, like he still has the gunshot wound in his head.
Oh, yeah. I love how he pulls out the one in his forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sticks his finger in there.
I like his sort of deformed version too we get of him in the doorway.
But, after she throws the acid on him when he gets that's the thing. He is fully changed. And then I'm gonna grab the acid and throw it on him.
Yeah.
I would have threw that shit on him while he was trying to do it. If I knew that there was acid right there. So
okay, well, Jason, whose tagline is it anyway?
Okay, another segment of taglines. I write some, Hollywood writes some. Let's see if these two idiots can figure out who did which. Okay.
It's a game where the taglines are made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah. Well, it just matters for the night. I'm not keeping running a tab anymore. So
he caved. I win. He finally fucking caved.
Josh,
on the points.
what are you doing? You're going to reverse psychology him into doing it again.
I'm going to do it again because now I'm keeping points. Change my mind.
Review the old footage.
Oh, let's see. All right, here we go. Imagine your worst fear a reality.
It's real.
Fake.
It's real.
Loser.
God.
Loser. Okay. Oh, let's see.
Noxious.
The horror begins when the howling starts.
It's fake.
Yeah, that's fake.
It is fake. The beast is released.
I'm going to say fake.
I say fake.
It is fake.
It's the purge, man.
The next one's gonna be Unleash the Beast.
But I didn't even write them all down that they had, and some of them are way worse than this. And I don't know if they were from the re-releases or maybe because sometimes when they put taglines on here, they actually put taglines from sequels. I don't know why it is, and I'm like, this is horrible. All right. They're out there, ... and you're in the middle of your worst nightmare.
Well, we've had two Jason ones in a row, so I'm thinking it's a real one this time.
I did the ...
I need to try to gain ground on Josh, so I'm gonna say Jason wrote this one.
Hollywood wrote it.
Damn it! Now I'm fucked. Sometimes I play to win, dude. I don't play to lose close. I play to win. So sometimes I got to take some risks.
Well, you're losing.
I know.
The inhuman fear that is the howling.
He said this one way too matter of factly, so I'm thinking it's real, but it could be fake.
So what's your answer?
I'm gonna go fake.
I'm gonna go real.
It's fake.
God damn it.
But you gotta admit, that was a good one.
You're never gonna beat me, Eric.
You're right. I think I've only beat you a couple times. I suck.
It's the only thing anybody can I could ever challenge anybody on is movie knowledge.
All right, here we go. All of your nightmares are about to be transformed into one single and inescapable nightmare.
That's too long to be made up. I think it's real.
I'll say it's fake. I need a point.
It's real.
God damn it. I needed a point. I had to take
All
a
right.
stab at it.
Here's the hard one, guys. You ready? Last one.
Not over.
No, actually, no. There's two more. Sorry. Part human, part wolf. ... All terror.
That's fake. That's got to be fake.
I agree with you, Eric. Fake.
It is fake. Dude, you do know if you answer first, Eric, and you say it's fake, he's going to say that because he doesn't want to lose.
Yeah.
No.
I'm aware of the strategy here.
I have no strategy. I am just going off the cuff.
Okay, and here we go. The last one. I mean, this one took me a while, right, to figure out. Horror just got hairy.
Well, considering you just gave away that you wrote this one.
I got tired of writing all these, so yeah, you both got a point on that one. Let's see. Josh wins 8-4. So Josh won. Give yourself a round of applause, Josh.
Good job, Josh. Good job, Josh.
My fellow werewolf people.
Good job, Eric.
Good job at sucking.
Not
good loss there, Eric.
I lose well with dignity.
It's a werewolf. It's a werewolf pup.
Oh.
Well, we find out at this point with the whole when Karen got there and all that stuff that the doctor was in on all of it.
Mm-hmm.
We find that out, so that's why he lured them there and stuff like that. Well, now Chris has now made it to the colony.
Chris is much more of a badass than we ever thought. Chris
Hell
is a
yeah.
badass.
Wait.
Chris rolls up on a commune of werewolves and beats all their asses.
I got my rifle. He stole the silver bullet. No, he did pay for them, but he just ran out the door from Walter.
He named his own price.
Fella, those are real silver. I gotta check in with a jeweler to find out what to charge.
Bill me.
When he said that, I almost wonder if they were trying to say that the bullets might not have been silver, and he showed up and he had his ass handed to him.
Oh yeah.
Because he said, I haven't figured out what grade of silver or whatever as he runs out the door, and I'm like, oh, what if he was trying to make it out to where the bullets weren't silver?
Yeah. How many werewolves die because they're just too overconfident that he doesn't have silver bullets?
Yeah, these are some
2 or 3. They keep walking up to him and they're like, they see their buddy just got dropped, and they just want to walk right up to him like, you can't shoot me. I guess they're just really cocky, you know? I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're the top of the food chain. They're going to take these people out. Like it seems ridiculous that they would be that, throw that much caution to the wind. But I guess silver bullets aren't that common. I don't know.
They certainly are not. I guess, yeah, you're right. They would not expect that he would be able to pick some up at his local bookstore.
Right.
Well, the first one he takes out is Eddie, because remember, he shows up. Man, everything's happening in that doctor's office.
Yeah.
Because Chris gets there. I love how Eddie knocks the window out and grabs the gun from him. And then Eddie's so confident, like you said, confident. He hands the gun back to him.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? You're going to
He had it in the bag.
Boom! You're dead.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, we roll up on the whole werewolf council shit going on. And that's where, like y'all were talking about earlier, where the doctor wants to be civilized, live with man, eat cows.
We should have stuck with the old ways, raising cattle for our feed. Where's the life in that?
The humans are our cattle.
Humans are our prey. We should feed on them like we always done. Screw all this channel your energy crap.
My favorite is when they reveal that the sheriff and he's got the fucking teeth.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. Well, they all, even the guy, noble guy, the guy from Walker, Texas Ranger, guy has his teeth and everything. But the thing, all right, I want to know who is the actual leader of this, because you always have a leader. You got to have it's usually an alpha, which is usually a male, and then you have the lead female. So you obviously know Marcia is, but would Eddie have been the?
Well, it seems like
alpha?
Wagner's in charge, and they sort of like have a mutiny.
Well, that's what
the vibe that I get.
That's what I think they're setting up. Is Marcia is the one trying to lead them this way, and he's trying to lead them the other. I think that's where you've got the two problems. I think Marcia is the one who is like leading the pack, and I think you get that from obviously how the movie ends. But
right, they all side with Marcia basically.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is who turned who.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's really all that important. I mean,
I just want to know. I mean, like, was Marcia the one? I mean, because her and TC look like old school, and then everybody else is wearing regular clothes.
With all the teeth And the way this almost feels more like a vampire movie than a werewolf movie.
I mean, it could work as a vampire movie as well. Yeah.
I mean, they're turning people. They've the sort of debate about how to survive is a vampire thing. When they reveal themselves as not being human, they all have basically vampire teeth. I mean, this
no. They don't have vampire teeth.
Okay, it's a different tooth or something.
No, because they got two set. Vampires only have teeth on the top. They don't have teeth coming up out of the bottom.
I see. Okay, but you see my point.
Get your shit right.
They're kind of, just the way that it's like a community and all this stuff. It kind of feels vampire-y.
Yeah.
Not that that's a criticism. I'm just saying it makes me think of vampire movies, almost more so than werewolf, other than the whole werewolf thing. It's a little convenient that there's one door into the barn. Literally no barn ever has one door. But here they do. Maybe they have it all closed up so that they can corner their prey or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm looking for answers here, but it's pretty easy. He kind of makes them back up into the barn, closes it, lights it on fire. You're done. Kill the whole town, except for Slim Pickens. But
he gets his.
They a lot of them get out obviously because after
only Marcia gets out, right?
Well,
yeah, but there's more. Like I said, we get where Chris shot all of them out front. And they're dead, which is cool because if you notice, Dr. Wagner said he's basically like saying thank you, kind of like the Wolfman and Monster Squad.
Yeah.
He was he wanted it to be over.
The old man,
Earl wanted it to be over at the beginning of the movie. He was ready to jump in the fire. He was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But he gives everybody. They do the whole thing when they lock them in there, and it's just convenient that there's always a gas can right outside the barn.
Yeah,
let's burn it down. We do that, but they go to drive away. But and like I said, the whole thing with Slim Pickens, the whole gunfire exchange with him. But then all these werewolves come out of nowhere. I mean, I thought they were all locked in the barn burning, and this thing, no, it's like 10, 12 werewolves jumping on the car, chasing them around.
I mean, I think it would be more like 3 to 5.
No, there's a bunch of them at one time. Because remember, he keeps
We need
shooting.
To review the footage.
Well, I was a little taken aback by
they're at like every window, but I don't know.
Well, there's a weird shot because I was a little taken aback by this because it cuts to the hands on the windshield.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 hands on one side and then another one over here. And I was like, did this fucking werewolf grow an extra fucking arm? Like, it's really weird the way they lay it out. But then, they show you that there's more than one werewolf there. But yeah, it's a little confusing the way they play all this out.
Because you had werewolves when he was in the Mazda.
Yeah.
That were attacking him.
That was a sweet Mazda, by the way.
Come on, take it easy, pal. Not all of us got enough money for a Mazda. Some of us have to work for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah. Rotary engines. Awesome. Then they take on Slim Pickens, shoot him. They get in the cop car, and then it's like, they show there's one here, there's one at the back glass, there's one over here. I mean, see, he already shot some when he was in the Mazda. I'm talking about combined between both vehicles.
I see.
That's a bunch of werewolves.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about combined between both vehicles. I see.
Yeah, I'm just like, man,
why didn't I realize that before?
I almost wonder if they weren't all in the barn, and that's just the rest of the pack that was not out, and they're going to help out their buddies and try to kill these 2 people that are shooting them.
Here we have another example of where the action drags, where he can't start the car.
Yeah.
Like it goes on way too long. And again, I'm asking myself, is this a joke? I can't tell if this is a gag or if it's just a weird timing thing and they're trying to draw out whatever they can from it. But yeah, it's like this man cannot start the car.
Back in the 80s, they had, back in the 80s, it was the car not starting, as to where now it's cell phone signals. Like, we have to get rid of cell phone signals somehow. In the 80s, it was just, we can't get him somewhere. We got to make the car not be able to start. That's our best way to get
Yeah, nowadays you hit it, no signal. Oh, shit, no signal. Oh, my God, I got no signal. Oh, my phone died.
I love how it's become this thing where you have to explain the continuity of cell phones not working in movies now. It's like, we're way out here in the middle of nowhere. I have no signal. Yeah, it's so stupid.
What a waste of time. We have to. Yeah, that's why I like period movies. Just
how did the cop drive the car there and turn it off? I mean, it obviously starts. Why didn't it start for them?
Yeah. Well, okay. Come on. Now, I'm a little fuzzy on how the attack on the cop car happens, but how the fuck did Bill get in the back of this car?
He busted in the back glass, dude. You didn't see that?
I thought
he busted the back glass and got into the car.
I thought they shot the one that got in the back glass, and then he appears.
Yeah, no, he goes into the back as they start to drive away. I could have swore I saw another wolf go in the back glass.
I can't remember.
See,
I'm going to take Jason's word for this. I mean,
Jason's has seen this movie way more than either one of us.
I could have, I could swear that I saw somebody else come in that back glass. But I think it's really cool that the wolf that bites her was fucking Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, after their exchange with him slapping the shit out of her early in the movie, which, never hit a lady, guys. Don't do it.
No, that's where if you weren't on any kind of, if you didn't have a good feeling about Bill, you lost any kind of good feeling about Bill when he smacks the shit out of her.
This was after he was bitten, right? So he's
he was bitten
into a werewolf at this point.
Yeah, and he had the scratch marks on his back.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question about that part. All right. He's putting the bandage back in his arm, but it's healing. It's healed, but yet the scratches didn't heal after he changed, because she scratched him while he was changing. By werewolf mythology, he should have been healed. He should not have had scratch marks on his back.
Good point. Excellent.
You make a great point.
Continuity error.
Yeah, literally.
But after this, we get back to the TV station, back in the city, and again, I'm captivated by the way they end this movie.
Yeah.
Like
I love being back in the city, back in the studio. We're about to go live. Like suddenly I feel this sense of urgency again. All of a sudden, something big's about to happen. I love this stuff. I would love if it was a whole, I mean, that's a whole nother movie, but I do love the city stuff. I love the TV station stuff, going off script.
Right.
And of course she reveals it to the world.
Right. And I think, if you would have kept this movie in the city setting, like we discussed earlier, and then you still ended it the way you end it here, like the ending of this movie is the ballsiest part of it to me. Like, I think it's a downer of an ending. It doesn't leave you with a nice, happy ending. We were kind of discussing that earlier. And, the fact that, our hero that we've watched throughout this entire movie has to be sacrificed for the world to know. I really love that about this movie. Now, let's talk about Karen's werewolf form.
You mean the Pomeranian?
Oh my God.
The little fuzzball with the little bitty nose.
And again, bladder work. The bladder work on the nose where she's just got the nose going. Like,
she's a cute werewolf, man.
No, dude.
I was waiting for them to put a little pink bow at the top.
Yeah.
Put the little pink bow in there.
It's like the dad werewolf in Teen Wolf, where he looks kind of like cuddly, like a teddy bear.
An explanation is probably long overdue.
But no, like, I think that ending has so much going for it, and then you cut to that shot of her, and I'm like, like, it just kind of ruins the moment for me.
But that's not the ending.
I know.
But I agree. It undercuts it because it doesn't look good.
And I love how they cut the commercial, and it's a dog food.
Dog food. That shit's so funny.
I laugh my ass off. Oh, God. But like you said, it's a downer. It's almost like she's trying to tell the world. It's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers type thing.
Yeah.
Or even Halloween 3.
Yeah.
But then people play it off as, it was a gag. She really didn't change into a werewolf on
It
TV.
is funny at the bar. You got the people like not believing it. Yeah.
Well, even the people that are showing at home.
What are you kids watching?
The news lady's turned into a werewolf.
Whatever. But I like the one guy. He's like, no, she turned into a werewolf.
Yeah, the old guy.
He believed it.
Yeah,
he's like,
no,
you're three sheets to the wind doesn't mean it wasn't real.
But then we go down the bar.
Why don't you throw on a pepper steak for me and the lady here?
No, pepper steak for me and a hamburger for the lady.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she orders it rare.
How do you want that? Rare.
And then you have the credits with the sizzling burger on the flat top, which I do enjoy.
Makes
Although
you a
he
little
did not
hungry.
wait for a very good sear before flipping.
Dude, I wrote that in my notes. You don't flip that burger until it don't stick.
Yeah, he totally, like, it was an actor, not a real fry cook.
You
trying
got to
to
put
cook
that
burger.
spatula underneath it, and it holds. Nope.
He
You got a
didn't-
little bit longer.
he
Leave it a
didn't
little bit
smash
longer.
it.
You got to get those bits out from under there. Yeah. This guy
He
was
didn't
not a
smash
good.
it down hard enough. Like that dude does not know how to do a smash burger.
It's
No, that's not a smash burger. I don't want to. I want a big,
no, you don't cook
juicy
yeah,
hamburger.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say, but Jason's right. That's not a smash burger, obviously, and you wouldn't cook a smash burger rare. You couldn't. It'd be impossible. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, it's a poorly cooked burger, and but I do like the image of the meat frying.
Yeah.
With our credits rolling. I do like how it kind of ends on that. It's just kind of like I don't know. Again, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
You know, you got meat on the thing.
You got all the seriousness going on at the beginning, kind of here at the end, and now we're gonna zoom in on a hamburger cooking.
Yeah. It's just kind of back and forth on the tone, but I like both things independently of each other, but it's weird how it switches back and forth. But
yeah.
Did anybody watch the post-credit scenes?
Didn't know there was any post-credit scene.
No, I didn't.
The post-credit scene is from the Wolfman 1941, where the gypsies talking to Lon Chaney Jr.'s character, what's his name, Talbot or whatever, and it says, "Go on now, only heaven can help you." It's when she tells him when he finds out he's been bitten, and I guess that's kind of just the little thing at the end, because they had it playing in the movie when Chris and Terry are watching it, and then he had the cut where she's trying to explain to him that if you've been bitten, heaven help you, and then you have this.
Yeah.
So they really did a lot of the Wolfman 1941 segments in this movie.
Yeah, I did not.
But yeah, I didn't know that for years until one day I was just letting it play, and I'm like, what the fuck? 1981, we had post-credit scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always fun. Little nugget there.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Supposed to howl, damn it.
All right, Jason, your pick. You're starting.
Oh, the good. Still a top 5 werewolf classic, at least mine. And I think a lot of people, you look up top werewolf movies, this is always up there. The practical effects, like the hand changing, not all of the Eddie's transformation, but the majority of it. I mean, it did take a long time, but the look at it when the nose is growing outward, the ears pop out, even his fingers as they're like extending, and you get goo coming out of them. The goo coming out of that.
I like the finger extension, like the fingernails coming out.
Yeah, they didn't just keep them like normal hands and then fingernails. I mean, no, like the fingers grow. You know, that's pretty awesome. I mean, the overall look of the finished werewolf looks like a werewolf, like it should. You know, it's man and wolf as one, not a dog running around.
Wolf. Yeah.
And I mean, it scared me when I was a kid. It scared me more than American Werewolf in London did. And I mean, as you know, as adult and watching horror movies like Josh here, we're desensitized to them. They don't scare me. So you like to hold on to the memories of when you were a kid watching it, that, you know, you feel that deep down a little bit, like a tiny bit of fear, and it feels good. And when I watch this, other than all the funny shit that happens and corny stuff, there's parts of it, you know, it's just like, I can remember that little Jason being scared to watch this movie, but that's why you watched them. You wanted to be terrified. You wanted to not go outside to have to run to the shed to get something because you're scared the Wolfman's out in the fucking shed waiting on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
The bad acting, you know, Dee Wallace, a lot of the other people in this movie acting was not great. It's just like you said, there were parts of the movie that just looks like she was just phoning it in.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, it's okay. I'm just going to do this movie. I'm getting a paycheck. Same thing with like Bill and all that stuff. Of course, Bill, he's also bad. You know, slapping around his wife and all that shit. The Karen transformation at the end. It's pretty bad. So, and then my ugly, it's the same thing that I talk about, and most people who love this movie, the fucking doggy style animation sex scene in the fucking woods. We could have cut that out. We could cut it out now. I think Joe Dante needs to go back and do a different cut of this and just take that out. And it would actually improve that whole few minutes of that section of the movie. And it would help. So, but that's my ugly. So,
Alrighty, Eric.
My good is the paw to hand transformation. I love that. And
good.
the file grab moment. Bad is the feral guy with running around with the circus music playing. And ugly is cute wolf at the end. Cute wolf doesn't really sell like the threat of werewolves.
Right.
You turn and you're still cute. So
Well,
that's mine.
Mine kind of mirror Jason's a little bit. I'd said the makeup effects and the jump cut to the dog food when they shoot Karen at the end. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And just the ending in general, I love what the ending represents. However, my bad is Karen as a werewolf. Don't like Karen's werewolf transformation.
Yeah,
and ugly, really ugly is the animation of werewolves having sex. Don't like it. It's bad.
They were doing it doggy style.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our conversation about The Howling. Jason, are you happy you got to hang out with your werewolf friends for a little while?
Yes, all my werewolf friends that, there's so many of us out there.
So many.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. I mean, I know that a whole 3 or 4 people who might like this episode are like werewolves. I hope more people watch it. I try to keep pushing for more werewolf movies and stuff like that. We'll keep doing them.
And you're getting them.
I have to do them without Eric because I think I'm burning him out. So he doesn't understand.
I burned out a long time ago, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the wolfiness. I mean, look at me and Josh. He don't get it. So
no, I don't get it.
Well, that's going to do it for our discussion about The Howling. Tell us what you think about The Howling. Do you like it? Do you think it's stupid? Do you think the transformation scene is good? Do you think the transformation scene is bad? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to talk with you about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know when we're putting out new videos. We'll be back with our next episode. We're going back to David Cronenberg land, and we will talk to you next time. Be kind. Rewind.
Man, Josh just said it without us. I mean, see, he's already cutting us out of the show. He don't even care.
It's all right. It's fine. It's fine. I don't care.